This is a podcast from the Daily Grind, India's first audio newspaper. Hello and welcome to the Daily Grind, everybody. Today is Monday, the 5th of December, and I'm Ankit Prasad. Today's big story is one that has been on all the news channels all night. Yesterday, that is Sunday evening, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalitha, who has basically been battling for her life for months now, ever since being admitted to hospital in September, suffered a cardiac arrest. Despite her travails, the news came as a rude shock, as Jayalalitha was actually set to finally be on the road to recovery. In fact, just hours before it happened, her party had spoken about how she had completely recovered. The dire update led to a huge crowd composed mainly of AIADMK party workers assembling outside the Apollo hospital in Chennai. The police was also there in strength in order to keep things from boiling over, and it didn't look like they had an easy task on their hands. The problem with such a situation is that there is always the threat of a riot in case things go south, and there were plenty of rumors doing the rounds as well. In fact, at one point last night, Wikipedia had even declared her dead. That's been amended though. With the crowd simmering outside, the acting governor of Tamil Nadu flew back to Chennai from Mumbai and arrived at the hospital. He then left a short while later, apparently to brief the Home Affairs Ministry, though it's impossible to imagine they didn't already know exactly what's going on. There is plenty of protocol to be followed in these situations though, and the authorities were being very careful about what and how they said to the public. As such, the politicians and the party have refrained from saying much, but the hospital itself has been tweeting about occasional updates. The 68-year-old Jayalalitha seems to be plugged into an external heart pump, is what they've said. There was a spot of heavy rain too on top of everything else, which helped disperse the crowd a bit, and by all accounts, the police have used the time to muster their numbers in all areas of the state. It's likely that by the time you hear this, there will have been a few more developments. AIADMK MLAs have been to the hospital in the early hours of the morning, and a number of ministers from the centre are also expected. It's all very touch and go. We hope she's okay. The other raging story is, of course, demonetization. Unbelievably, the jury is still out on whether it's going to be a hit or a flop, or whether it's going to cause anything other than inconvenience. A number of prominent economists seem wholeheartedly against the move, suggesting that the move is akin to knowingly puncturing the tires of India's GDP engine. The opposition, meanwhile, seems to not care about the macroeconomics, but is definitely keen to paint the ruling BJP as a combination of tyrannical, incompetent, and fond of mismanagement. Certain political parties, namely Mamata Banerjee's Trinamool Congress, have gone completely overboard and appear to see this upheaval as an opportunity to make loud noises and expand. And the government itself is fully confident about its actions, with one of the finance ministers of state even opining that the move actually will cause India to hit double-digit growth. Whatever be the case, there are two pieces of information that we'd like to point out. One is that Jan Dhan accounts are plush with funds. Something like 1.6 lakh crore rupees plus has been invested into these accounts. Mostly it appears on behalf of other people. The PM has actually told the Jan Dhan account holders to keep the money with themselves while he works on a way to not let it be used for laundering. One suspects that an overburdened banking system is letting him know the holes in his plot in great detail. And the other, more scandalous update is that the voluntary declaration scheme, which was a forerunner to the demonetization and allowed people to declare black income by paying about half as penalties, actually received two declarations that were a little suspicious and hence they were rejected. One was from an Ahmedabad businessman, totaling more than 13,500 crore rupees. That's like $2 billion. And the other one, that was 2 lakh crore rupees, which equals a titanic $30 billion from a Mumbai family. Where would they even put that much cash in Mumbai? There's something fishy about these two deposits, and there may be bigger names involved. As such, only 67,000 crore rupees have been declared under the scheme. The Prime Minister, meanwhile, has been doing his thing, staying in the limelight. He was in Amritsar, where the Heart of Asia Summit was going on. Perhaps the big development there, bigger than Modi serving people at the langar at the Golden Temple, was him meeting Pakistan's foreign affairs bigwig Sartaaj Aziz. So could there be a ceasefire in India-Pakistan relations? We'd like to think so, but it's highly unlikely. Heading abroad, it seems there's all sorts of upheaval going on. Over in Italy, Prime Minister Matteo Renzi has announced his intention to resign as he suffered a heavy loss in a referendum, the goal of which was to reform the constitution and cut Italy's bureaucracy and make it more competitive. However, as per the BBC, it was instead widely seen as a way to register discontent with the government, which can be a problem in referendums. And so Renzi, taking responsibility for the loss, has said he'll go. A populist party called the Five Star Movement, led by a Beppo Grillo, is said to be the biggest winner in all of this. And the likes of Marine Le Pen in France have been celebrating as though they themselves have won. Over in Austria, however, populism and the far right have suffered a big defeat. Alexander van der Bellen has beaten Freedom Party candidate Norbert Hofer and will be president. The Freedom Party seemed to exhibit all the traits of post-truth populism in Europe. There is anti-immigrant and anti-institutional sentiment and all of that. But it's good to hear that one of these have lost. Good for you, Austria. And lastly in this section, New Zealand's Prime Minister John Key has announced a shock resignation. He's been at the helm for 8 years now and is resigning for personal reasons. His deputy, a Bill English, will take charge now with election scheduled for 2017. It's time for business now, and we'll begin with the RBI. One of the things to watch out for this week is the final bi-monthly policy review of this calendar year. It'll be Governor Urjit Patel's and the Monetary Policy Committee's second such review, and crucially, the first after the demonetization. The expectation appears to be that there will be a 25 basis point cut in the key repo rate, similar to what happened 2 months ago. But hopefully we'll get a better idea of how things are going, how healthy the banks are, what the liquidity situation is, and things of that nature. Demonetization aside, another factor that may be considered is international fuel prices. That's because OPEC, or the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, which together produce about a third of the world's crude, have agreed on a deal to cut production in an effort to hike prices, which have been very low for about 2 years now. Russia, which is a big non-OPEC producer, has also agreed to work with OPEC. So maybe that's also something that the RBI will acknowledge, given India's dependence on fuel imports. The policy review is on Wednesday. Also in the banking domain, the Bandhan Bank, which is headquartered in Kolkata and actually started off as a microfinance company but is now a proper bank, has said that it will start its own banking training school. It'll be a 1-year residential program for graduates and it'll cost 3.5 lakh rupees per candidate as per Mint. It sounds like Bandhan Bank intends to absorb those who clear the course. Over in the telecom space, the latest news from Reliance Jio, which we missed out on at the end of last week, is that the welcome offer where data and content is free has been extended till the end of March next year. There are 52 million Jio users at the moment, and the company wants to go the whole hog and onboard 100 million people ASAP. Perhaps more importantly though, Jio has now declared mobile number portability or MNP fully open, and also the interconnect and data congestion issues are more under control. An American software company wants to set up in India. Boston-based Kinvey, that's Kinvey, which is a mobile backend as a service or MBAAS platform for enterprises, which as per TechCrunch makes it easy for developers to set up, use and operate a cloud backend for their mobile apps, plans to set up an R&D center in Chennai. It'll focus on data security, artificial intelligence, virtual reality and machine learning. Over in education, yesterday was the CAT exam for admission into the IIMs and other MBA colleges. So the CAT exam is done for this year. Meanwhile, also in education news, from quite far away, an Indian origin student is suing Oxford University in the UK for boring teaching and classes that resulted in him not doing well in exams and hence not fulfilling his career's potential. He graduated over 15 years ago, mind you, as a lawyer. But he claims that staff shortages during the 1999 to 2000 academic year had a detrimental effect on the teaching and hence he's not a jet-setting international commercial lawyer. Well, if he manages to get this case heard, he will at least have proved himself to be competent. Heading abroad, in top-level management news, Starbucks promoter Howard Schultz has announced that he's resigning from the post of CEO and will move upstairs as executive chairman. The now 63-year-old had once previously stepped down as CEO in the year 2000 but returned in 2008 during difficult times for the company. He'll now concentrate on high-end coffee houses and brands, while COO Kevin Johnson assumes the chief executive's role. To ownership and funding news now. Facebook is going to spend $20 million on a fund to build affordable housing in Menlo Park and East Palo Alto, which are the two cities between which its campus is located. The reason is that Facebook wants to expand its campus and add 6,500 new staff to the area. And this kind of sustained practice by not only Facebook but other companies as well has led to a housing shortage for non-Silicon Valley folk who are being outpriced. A non-deal is next. President Obama has attempted to stop a Chinese investment firm from buying a German tech company called Extron SE, that's AIXTRON, that has US assets because of security concerns. Extron is a semiconductor company, and the acquisition was blocked on the recommendation of the Committee on Foreign Investment in the US, or CFI-US, which confidentially reviews foreign acquisitions solely on national security grounds, as per the Wall Street Journal. It's estimated to be a $700 million deal though, and the non-US participants are keen on making it happen. Over in IPO news, Chinese internet company Meitu, which makes selfie apps, is planning a $5.2 billion IPO this month in Hong Kong. It's currently a loss-making company, which the Financial Times describes as follows. Meitu, spelled M-E-I-T-U, whose name means beautiful picture in Mandarin, makes apps that edit users' selfies to enlarge eyes, whiten skin and thin jaws, all traits considered attractive by some Chinese people. Its apps process more than 50% of the photos posted on major Chinese social media networks, according to iResearch, a market research firm. Over in India-related things, Japanese telecom and internet giant SoftBank, which is bankrolling a number of major startups here and abroad, may exceed its $10 billion in 10 years investment plan for India. Masayoshi Son, SoftBank's founder and CEO, said as much, so that's good news, especially in the battle against big American companies like Uber and Amazon and people. To products and consumer things now. This one is unexpected. Amul is going to begin selling camel milk in the next 3 months as per Mint. The reason behind this amazing idea is the Food Standards Authority FSSAI setting standards for camel milk. To repeat, 500 ml camel milk bottles will be coming out soon, first in Ahmedabad and then everywhere else. Over in mobile phones, the original mobile phone brand is coming back. A Finnish company called HMD Global, which has licensed the Nokia brand for 10 years, has said that it will launch its first smartphones by the first half of next year. HMD Global has struck up partnerships with some tech biggies, it says, especially Google. They're going to be Android phones. The company that stole Nokia's lunch, meanwhile, Apple, has finally conclusively admitted its next big play. Apple is most definitely working on self-driving cars, and as a letter from the company to an American government agency reveals, it's worried about the Trump administration imposing regulations regarding self-driving. Among other things, it wants established companies and new entrants to be treated equally. But Apple is in for self-driving cars. Amazon has something new for us. AWS, Amazon Web Services, has launched something called Snowmobile, which is a truck carrying a massive hard disk, which companies will be able to use to physically send all their data eventually to Amazon's cloud. It's a broadening of a previous service called the Snowball, which was just a briefcase full of data. The truck can carry up to 100 petabytes, which is about 1 lakh terabytes. That's the Amazon Snowmobile. GoPro is selling something new. It's the Karma Grip, which normally comes with the Karma drone, which itself has been recalled because of in-flight power failures. But the grip is compatible with the Hero 5 and with a $30 attachment also with the Hero 4. For $300, the Karma Grip helps you stabilize the videos you take, along with some other features. It sounds like a lot for what looks like a handle, but it must be something, right? Closing this section with environmental news. As per a new study, about 6,000 years ago, the Sahara Desert was covered with grass and received plenty of rainfall. That all changed because of a change in weather pattern. And now we have the world's biggest desert. Crazy and apparently true. It's time for spent news now. In cricket, Australia are on a winning streak. After beating South Africa in the final of 3 tests, after losing the last 7 matches, The Aussies have now beaten New Zealand in the first of 3 ODIs. At Sydney, captain Steve Smith scored 164 runs to help his side achieve a score of 324. In reply, Martin Guptill scored 114, but it wasn't enough, as the Kiwis were dismissed for 256 with 5 overs remaining. So the Aussies won by 68 runs. Over in football, there were big matches all over, but the most decisive result came from the Premier League. Chelsea came from behind to defeat Man City at the Etihad. Gary Cahill scored an own goal, but then Diego Costa and Willian turned things around. It was a heated contest, and at the end, Sergio Aguero was sent off for a lunge at David Luiz, and Fernandinho was also sent off in the resulting brawl. Eden Hazard also got on the scoresheet right before the end, and the match ended 3-1 in favour of Antonio Conte's team. The other London biggies also did very well. Arsenal beat West Ham 5-1 away with Alexis scoring a hat-trick, and Tottenham scored 5 goals at home against Swansea with Kane and Eriksen scoring braces. Champions Leicester lost 2-1 at Sunderland, and Liverpool lost a sensational match at Bournemouth by 4-3. Man United conceded a late penalty goal at Everton, and so that match ended 1-1. In the table, Chelsea are now a full 3 points ahead of Arsenal, who are second. Liverpool are 1 point behind Arsenal, tied with Man City. Tottenham are 3 points outside the top 4, and then there's a massive 6-point gap to Man United in 6th. Over in Spain, it was El Clasico weekend. Barcelona took the lead at the Nou Camp with a goal from Luis Suarez, but right at the end, Sergio Ramos popped up with a late-headed equaliser. Atletico Madrid couldn't capitalize. They drew goallessly against Espanyol, and Sevilla lost at Granada 2-1. So Real Madrid are now 6 points ahead of Barcelona, who are 1 point ahead of Sevilla, and then Atletico Madrid are a further 2 points behind. And over in Germany, Bayern Munich came from behind to beat Mainz 3-1. Lewandowski scored 2 and Robben got 1. Borussia Dortmund also came back from a goal down to beat Borussia Mönchengladbach 4-1. The leaders of the Bundesliga though, Rasenballsport Leipzig also won, and so are now 3 points ahead of Bayern Munich. Now, in Formula 1, remarkably, mere days after winning the Formula 1 World Drivers' Championship, thereby fulfilling a lifelong dream and also emulating his father and 1982 world champion Keiko, Nico Rosberg has announced his retirement. So the champion is going out on top, which is rare but not unheard of. For instance, Alain Prost also retired after winning the championship in 1993. The 31-year-old Rosberg won the championship in his 11th attempt. He had placed second for the last 2 seasons, but he finally beat Hamilton this time around. And so now he's retired. Heading over to Bollywood. There's not all that much news, but what we do know is there is a big budget movie coming up, which is being compared to Bahubali because it's multilingual, stars Rana Daggubati, and even has Karan Johar's backing. It's called The Ghazi Attack, and it's being billed as India's first underwater war film. It releases pretty soon, on 17th February, and a poster is out. There is a submarine in it. That's The Ghazi Attack. Now, from Hollywood, there's a trailer for the intergalactic blockbuster that's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. The Guardians seem to be battling some sort of tentacled monster, while Rocket is trying to teach a baby Groot how to use a bomb. But baby Groot seems to be excessively drawn to a death button and finally runs away. There's a bit where Star-Lord pilots his ship through a swarm of something. The rest is all very stylish and musical as you'd expect, and it ends with someone reading Star-Lord's mind, and then Drax wants more of the same. That's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and it releases on May the 5th. In casting news, there is apparently a Barbie movie in the works, and in consideration for the starring role is Amy Schumer. So it's definitely not going to be conventional. We'll let you know more about it as and when. Over in TV shows, remember a show called Sense8? It was by Netflix and the first season had a pansexual orgy in it. Well, for that and other reasons, it wasn't at all a bad show. Only its first season released about a year and a half ago now, and it's been a while since then. However, we have news. Season 2 will begin with a 2-hour Christmas special on the 23rd of this month, and then a 10-episode regular season will begin on the 5th of May. We'll close with music news. The Rolling Stones have a new album out. It's called Blue and Lonesome, and it's a covers-only album, their first ever. One of the songs in it is Ride 'Em On Down, originally by Eddie Taylor, and the video has Kristen Stewart tearing it up in a beautiful looking Ford Mustang. The album is Blue and Lonesome, and it's by the Rolling Stones. Lastly, Madonna has raised $7.5 million from a performance in and for the African nation of Malawi. She performed there with Ariana Grande, and she also auctioned off a number of treasures. Madonna had adopted a boy who she named David from Malawi about a decade back, and has been a sort of friend of the country's since before that. And with that, we're at the end of this episode. We'll see you tomorrow now. Don't forget to visit our Facebook page for all kinds of goodies. I'm Ankit Prasad, and thank you for listening.